Yeah, it honestly amazes me how they just continue to find ways to monetize victim mentality. But I'll tell you this, if you look at what diversity, equity, and inclusion actually is, it's just a fancy way to say anti-white. And if things don't change and people keep getting kicked out of multicultural centers or stop from getting jobs just because of their skin color, then white people are going to have to start their own civil rights movement because things have gotten way too woke and just toxic all across the board.
That was Xavier DeRusso, a former BLM activist turned PragerU personality on the Ingraham angle, with Charlie Kirk too, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And before I continue, just in case anyone forgot, the African American civil rights movement encompasses social movements in the United States whose goals were to end racial segregation and discrimination against Black Americans, which included desegregating schools, buses, lunch counters, the list goes on, and to secure legal recognition and federal protection of the citizenship rights enumerated in the Constitution and federal law, like ensuring voting rights, just naming one example. Xavier knows that white people aren't facing oppression and discrimination on the basis of their skin color like this, claiming that would make what was once a false equivalence just a flat out lie. No. So he went with being denied employment due to DEI. And I'll get back to that in a minute. Now, I tried to figure out who this guy was. I mean, I'm sure he's killing it. And just last week he tweeted, "After my appearance on Fox News, I see articles asking who I am. I am the left's worst nightmare. I nearly spent my entire life believing their lies until deep diving into the truth. Now, I expose the America Last Marxists and remind people how privileged we are to be Americans." Keep that in mind as he says this.
Xavier, you say that DEI eliminates standards for excellence, and it does so for everyone across the board. Explain.
It does. You would think that it would be common sense that when you lower the standards of excellence, it's not going to benefit anybody. Because why would anyone strive to be the best when your success is already predetermined by your demographic? I mean, when I look at it, diversity, equity, inclusion, it's just a sham. It's just a racist joke because it tells Black people and minorities that our skin color is a handicap and that we need to depend on them to hold white people out of the way in order for us to be successful.
Your success is predetermined by your demographic. And he's right. Not in the way he thinks, though. How many studies about current discrimination against Black people either being prevented from entering the workforce or having to work harder than white people to get in is he going to ignore? David Pager and Associates published a meta-analysis including every field experiment on hiring since the first ones were completed in the 1980s. Across 24 studies, Black applicants were called back 36% less than white applicants with the same qualifications. Additionally, not a single study found a reliable anti-white bias. The rate of discrimination is the same, again, today as it was in the 1980s. Having a Black sounding name is a hindrance, along with, having 4C hair like Xavier and I, like this study out of Duke suggests, and, quote, racial discrimination based on hair can occur, and we hope it can inform new policies and practices for firms to ensure they're considering candidates equally, and furthermore, aren't missing out on top talent. So, maybe a policy like DEI? Maybe not. Black women with natural hairstyles were perceived as less professional and less likely to get interviews. Not that any of this matters to Xavier. He's interested in Black victimhood. But see, here's the thing about that. He also tweeted, "Once upon a time, I spent 23 years as a liberal. I had dozens of debates with conservatives and never once felt silenced or belittled. I became a conservative 2 years ago. Now I deal with more hate, censorship, character attacks, and lost relationships per month than the prior 23 years combined." And I know the highlight here is in the leftists do the very thing we claim to hate and are actually projecting something silencing while making another appearance on Fox. Yeah, but Xavier wouldn't be claiming to be a victim, would he? More specifically, because of his political ideology, right? One, but not the other, huh? And here's one of Xavier's opinion pieces in the New York Post. If I had more time, I would go after these points in particular because what in the heck? And look, he is a smart guy. So much so that I wondered, with him coming out of California, if he attended UC Berkeley or Stanford or something. You know, merit and stuff. But I'm not going to do that. He's getting relevance and gaining notoriety. I'm happy for the brother. More power to him. I just don't appreciate the fact that he's using the kind of anti-black rhetoric that would even make Charlie Kirk's face do this in order to do so. But then it occurred to me, I've seen Charlie make this face before. It was when Candace Owens was speaking at a Turning Point USA event. Xavier may not need to be an expert or have a formal education to get where he is and to where he's going. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens didn't. With that said, Xavier DeRusso, are you on Fox News and PragerU because you're a black, heavy on that emphasis, ex-BLM activist? Did you get your job and are making appearances on conservative media because of your skin color and political leanings? Sounds like a nightmare. This Tennessee governor knows that he dressed in drag when he was younger, but it didn't keep him from passing anti-drag legislation. You can find a link for this video in the description below. For more of my content, look for me on my YouTube channel called We Gonna Be Alright, or click on the Jeff Wiggins hashtag. And as always, my architect knows Japanese.